Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Behind the Kingdom's Veil, Inside the New Saudi Arabia under Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, by Susanne Koelbl, narrated by Gibel. Prologue. As a foreign correspondent, I have written about the wars of our time for more than 15 years, from the Balkans to Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, and Syria. In 2011, I started to travel to the kingdom and report about Saudi Arabia. In 2018, I had the opportunity to live in Riyadh as a foreign correspondent for the German magazine Der Spiegel. For decades, Saudi Arabia was the country where women couldn't drive. Now they can. Only very recently have men and women been able to attend pop concerts together, share a meal at a restaurant, picnic in public, or enjoy sporting events. The changes are occurring at breakneck speed. It's as if the Middle Eastern nation is undergoing open-heart surgery on the go. How quickly can people adapt to new freedoms and the changes and challenges they bring? Where are the men of the dismantled religious police? How do the pious fundamentalists cope with the changes? How will these now marginalized segments of the population direct their focus and energy? It's a journalist's dream to pierce this closed world of sheikhs, religious zealots, and hidden powers. I wanted to get closer to the people and experience the dizzying social transformation the kingdom was going through. Living in a small apartment as a Western woman among Saudis, I enjoyed unprecedented access. Behind the kingdom's veil, I encountered many intelligent minds with a unique perspective on both their own society and the West. However, the country's transformation is a race against time. The kingdom is in the midst of its most severe crisis since it was founded 88 years ago. Oil and its importance are waning fast. Saudi Arabia's neighbors are sinking into chaos and war: Iraq, Syria, Libya, and Yemen. Despite the new openness, the prince is also creating an atmosphere of fear. Born in 1985, the young heir has zero tolerance for dissenters and is often ruthless in suppressing critical voices. Saudis who voice criticism can expect severe punishment, possibly execution. While I lived in Saudi Arabia, I learned about Salafi society from my landlord, a man with 3 wives who believes the downfall of humanity is imminent. He tried everything to win over my soul for Islam and to save me from Satan's grip. I had breakfast with royal highnesses and asked Osama bin Laden's explosives expert how he now looks back at his time as a terrorist. Young Saudi women took me to weddings and on trips to the desert and shared with me how they cope with the upheaval and make the most of these bewildering changes. I met enigmatic political figures like the longtime Saudi ambassador to Washington and former intelligence chief, Prince Bandar bin Sultan, who was critically involved in orchestrating virtually every international crisis of the past 30 years, maybe except North Korea. I watched my friends be thrown into prison or murdered by the monarchy's secret service, such as the blogger and human rights activist Ayman al-Nafjan, or the journalist Jamal Khashoggi, whom I had known for a long time. Is Mohammed bin Salman an impressive reformer or a power-crazed dictator, or both? MBS could easily rule for 50 years. Will he learn on the job? I was lucky to witness these historic changes up close. Every one of my encounters in the kingdom was a small adventure. Together, I hope they can help you to understand why events in Saudi Arabia have such an impact on our lives, the economy, and political stability around the world. To protect their identities and privacy, I have changed all the names of private individuals I encountered and wrote about. All persons in public life are listed with the official names as they appear in their capacity in office or after they have left those positions. This is a time of rapid change in Saudi Arabia. Great efforts have been made to ensure facts and information are up to date at the time of printing. Forward. My first visit to Saudi Arabia 42 years ago as a young diplomatic correspondent for the Wall Street Journal was remarkably normal. Yes, I was chauffeured, since women weren't permitted to drive. But I wore knee-length skirts and long-sleeve blouses. I didn't own an abaya. I attended dinner parties where Saudi men and women mixed and sipped alcohol. I interviewed a working female pediatrician. In only a few short years, that normalcy was gone. The Al Saud rulers, determined not to be deposed like the Shah of Iran by religious hardliners, gave their religious scholars carte blanche over every aspect of Saudi social life. The changes were swift and sweeping. No music, no movies, no gender mixing. Women must veil, obey a male guardian, and even shun physical exercise, lest they endanger their reproductive abilities. For my next of scores of visits over the past 4 decades, I was given an abaya, a scarf, and a niqab by a Saudi official who declined to let me ride in the front seat of his car unless I was totally obscured from view. I've worn an abaya ever since to blend better with the Saudis I meet. Today, the kingdom is in the throes of throwing off all these strictures. The new king and crown prince no longer fear religious zealots. They are focused on a new challenge to Al Saud rule. How can the royal family retain power without the elixir of oil revenue to buy citizen loyalty, or at least acquiescence? The Saudi social contract has long been loyalty to the ruler in exchange for prosperity from the ruler, cradle-to-grave government largesse, free education, free healthcare, a job, all financed by oil revenue. That contract no longer appears sustainable. The Saudi population continues to grow rapidly, while growth in global energy demand declines due to both greater energy efficiency worldwide and growing efforts to reduce fossil fuel consumption to stem climate change. To confront this challenge, King Salman, 84, and his son, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, 34, have launched Vision 2030, a futuristic script that seeks to wrench their backward kingdom into the high-tech forefront of the 21st century. It is no exaggeration to say the vision calls for a societal revolution. Out with conservative, anti-modern Wahhabi dogma and in with moderation. Out with dependence on government and in with self-reliance. Out with the religious police and in with music, movies, dancing, gender mixing, women driving. Out with a guardian's permission for a woman to leave the kingdom and in with women working unveiled alongside unrelated Saudi men. Most surprisingly, perhaps, this long-closed kingdom is offering quick e-visas to foreign tourists, whom the government is spending lavishly to lure in hopes of creating a tourism industry that soon could provide jobs for thousands of young Saudis. As Saudis and the world watch this high-wire effort at transformation, the question on all minds is, can Saudis transit successfully from tradition to modernity? Or will their transition wind up sparking a backlash, like the one that swallowed the Shah of Iran's rapid modernization efforts? Susanne Koelbl, a correspondent for Der Spiegel, has a ringside seat for this unfolding drama. With this book, she takes readers along as she meets with princes, religious figures, and ordinary Saudi citizens coping daily with the clash between tradition and changes being pushed by the young crown prince. The success of transformation in Saudi Arabia depends on Saudis. Their active participation, not just acquiescence, will be needed to transform the economy. So a close-up look at the Saudi people Susanna meets will help a reader gauge the depth and breadth of the reform challenge facing the kingdom. Her entree to Saudi was encouraged and assisted by a former Saudi ambassador to Berlin, Osama Shobokshi, who told her, "Just tell the truth." That's essential advice for any journalist, and I think Ambassador Shobokshi would be proud of Susanna's book. She is exactly what a journalist should be: curious, a careful listener, a perceptive observer, and an eager learner. She clearly loves her time among the Saudi people and is eager to help foreigners understand the diversity and complexity of this desert kingdom. Her enthusiastic engagement in the everyday aspects of Saudi's lives is infectious. As a result, readers will not only learn, but find themselves joyfully entertaining friends with stories from this book. She largely avoids imposing Western emotions on what she sees, with one exception. She shows her distaste for the jailing and abuse of 3 female driving activists whom she knows well. Jailed 5 weeks before the historic lifting of a ban on females driving, the 3 were accused of disloyalty to the government. The author, like many Saudis, believes they were jailed primarily to underscore the Crown Prince's unchallenged power over his people. Women can drive, but driving advocates who might be credited for the change can be locked up. As the Bible notes in Job, "The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away." Like most Western citizens, she also takes a dim view of the war in Yemen, the death of Jamal Khashoggi, and the baffling enmity between Saudi Arabia and Qatar. She covers these and more geopolitical issues affecting Saudi Arabia and troubling its relationship with the U.S. and Western Europe. She is at her best, however, describing ordinary Saudi life and its changes. Readers will meet numerous Saudis delighted with the Crown Prince's rapid social changes. Some push for more: bars, nightclubs, and alcohol. She meets an atheist and his mostly live-in girlfriend whose daring also masks doubt. Either atheism or cohabitation without marriage would have been cause to behead both young people only a few years ago. She attends a wine party where nurses fearlessly serve their home brew to friends. She attends divorce parties, a new feature in a kingdom where, thanks to new freedoms to work and travel alone, divorce no longer essentially marks the end to a woman's life. She meets important princes who have managed to retain some influence even though King Salman has ruthlessly sidelined thousands of princes in favor of only his own line of descendants. She visits Osama bin Laden's bomb-making expert, now the father of 2 children after time in Guantanamo Bay and a stint in Riyadh's Terrorism Rehabilitation Center. She also visits Salman al-Auda, a beloved religious sheikh whom the government imprisoned on charges of disloyalty. Miss Koelbl also chronicles what isn't changing. Her fundamentalist landlord in Riyadh has 3 wives. He explains by saying, "My first wife is getting old. One of them is always on her period. What do you do if you want to sleep with one?" While there is more social freedom these days, even young men can't do as they please, since the tradition of tending to the diktats of older family members is still alive and well. Indeed, Saudi households these days are often at war as the mother and father haggle over what government-endorsed freedoms their daughters should be permitted to take. For some Saudis accustomed to the religious straitjacket of recent decades, it is too late to change. This is beautifully illustrated by Jamila, 29, who lives in Riyadh, the kingdom's most conservative city. Even though she realizes the rules she followed were the wishes of men, not Allah, she can't bring herself to uncover her face. Her father would be disappointed, her mother sad, and her reputation in Riyadh destroyed. Meanwhile, her male cousin is confident it is only a matter of time until Saudi Arabia legalizes alcohol, elects a parliament, and, gasp, has a constitutional monarchy. Uttering any of those predictions on social media could still lead to prison. It is too early to know if the Crown Prince's reforms will succeed. While social reform is rapid, efforts to transform the economy and create private sector jobs are stymied. Unemployment hovers around 12% and is nearly double that among young Saudis. To buy time, the Crown Prince is distracting Saudis with social liberties and imposing a near-total muzzle on criticism. Susanne correctly observes that most Saudis aren't seeking democracy, having never experienced it. But young Saudis increasingly do say they want a voice in the kingdom's future, as they are being asked to accept responsibility for their lives and livelihoods. Many in the West love to press for more and faster change. Before we presume to impose our views on a society seeking to transition from tradition to modernity at breakneck speed, we ought to pause to understand what's taking place in Saudi Arabia. Susanne's book offers readers an engaging and entertaining look at Saudi Arabia's entrenched traditions and its effort to transit to a new and very different future. Karen Elliott House, author of On Saudi Arabia, Its People, Past, Religion, Fault Lines, and Future. Knopf, 2012. Welcome to the Salafists. How My Landlord Tries to Save Me from Satan. Well-intentioned conservative Saudis might try to convert guests of other faiths to Islam. As a woman in Saudi Arabia, it is not as if you can't go places. You can go wherever you like. You just never really arrive anywhere. I wander through the busy streets of Riyadh. Outside of the Bazi Baba restaurant known for its delicious food and fresh juices, the tables are packed with men. Women who want to eat or drink have to stand in front of a small window covered by a flap. They order and wait outside until their food is ready. Coffee shops have recently sprouted up on Talia Street, the capital's most fashionable boulevard. Here, too, you will see only men. The fact that women can even sit outside is considered progress. In the new Saudi Arabia, change is occurring every day, often at a dizzying pace. But a society that has cultivated a certain lifestyle for many decades, actually for centuries, certainly does not shed its traditions and beliefs overnight. During my first few days in Riyadh, I stay at a hotel, a red building adorned by ornamental arches. In the lobby, guests lounge in blue velvet armchairs with brocade trim, where golden chandeliers hang from the ceiling. Upon my arrival, the receptionist proudly shows me the pool and fitness studio. When I inquire about the opening hours, sorry, for men only. Massages are also available, but again, sorry, men only. I retire to my darkened room. Outside, it is scorching hot. I probably won't get used to the curtains being permanently drawn so that no one can look in. I phone Mazen, a realtor I found on the internet. My mood improves considerably when he says he can find me an apartment with windows. Is a woman even allowed to rent property in Saudi Arabia? In theory, yes. A new law has made it possible. But in practice, it's usually still the family that decides what a woman can and cannot do. Very few families would allow a grown woman to live alone without male protection. Likewise, single men are prohibited from renting an apartment in a building with female residents. Thankfully, the local customs and family rules don't apply to me, a Western woman. Siri, take me home. The location of my apartment in Al Olaya, in the heart of Riyadh. One of the apartments Mazen offers me meets my criteria. It's in the Olaya district and has plenty of light and a balcony with a view of the Al Faisaliya Center, the second tallest building in the city, as well as its highest, the 1,000-foot Kingdom Center. It's like having a view of the Statue of Liberty and the Empire State Building at the same time. My landlord, Colonel Hassan, is a former Air Force pilot. He lives with his wives and a lot of children on a large property at the end of the street. Colonel Hassan is without a doubt a shrewd businessman, a man of the world, and deeply religious. One evening, I join him on his terrace just behind the entrance gate, where he receives his guests. A cook brings soup, lamb with rice, spinach, and coffee. Colonel Hassan recounts his training to become a fighter pilot in the United States. He shows me around the house and introduces me to one of his 4 daughters, a 19-year-old studying at university to be a French and English translator. Jesus was a good prophet, says Mr. Hassan, but Muhammad is more relevant today. This family man calls women the diamonds of the human race, who must be protected from covetous eyes. They are kept safest by remaining at home. We discuss whether it is important that women should be allowed to drive. Why should women drive, Susanna? Is this really necessary? Colonel Hassan asks. If women leave the house, society falls to pieces. Colonel Hassan explains how the world came into existence while he presents a drawn sketch about how God created Adam and then made Eve from one of his ribs. The world is now barreling toward its end, he says. When houses grow to the sky, when metal can speak, and when weeks become days, and when days become hours, then the time has come. These prophecies from Islamic scripture have already come true, says Mr. Hassan. You can see the skyscrapers from your balcony. The metal that talks refers to mobile phones. He points to our iPhones on the table, and then at his sketch, which shows people roasting in hell, glowing in yellow and red. People who have strayed from the path of faith. Think about it, Susanna. It's only logical, says Mr. Hassan, with an urgency in his voice. He would love me to convert to Islam for my own protection. Of course, Jesus was a good prophet, he says. Mohammed is simply more relevant today. It's like with the former German Chancellor, Gerhard Schröder. He was talented, but now it's Angela Merkel who has the power and can wield it. Colonel Hassan seems to think the decision to convert requires time. He's stubborn but also patient. He pours me more coffee, offers me more food. To this very day, he sends me videos on WhatsApp, encouraging me to save my soul from Satan. I've hit the jackpot with my new home on Ibn Ammar Street. It has 2 big corner windows that open up onto a small terrace, an American-style kitchenette, and a bedroom. It looks out across an expanse of palms to the glittering skyline of skyscrapers and palaces, the sprawling residential neighborhoods behind them, and the 8-lane freeways that cut through the desert at a 90-degree angle. A mere 100 years ago, this land was home to a few shepherds living alongside the Bedouins. Today, the heart of the kingdom has swollen into a pulsating metropolis of nearly 7 million people. For the next 3 months, this 3rd-floor apartment will be my retreat. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Time of the Bulldozer. The ambitious young heir apparent is the kingdom's great hope. The relentless modernizer wants to save the country from bankruptcy by making it less dependent on oil. Besides his many talents, the prince has a much darker side. Prince Mohammed is 12 years old when he begins to attend meetings with his father, then governor of Riyadh. His father is a capable, tough manager, and in a few decades he has transformed a patch of desert into a vibrant, modern capital city. Even then it was rumored that Governor Salman kept a secret file on everyone of any importance in the capital, eventually enabling him to keep the entire kingdom under his thumb. Governor Salman is especially fond of Mohammed, the firstborn son of his 3rd wife. Prince Mohammed is a boy with full lips and an endearing smile. His chestnut eyes have unusually thick black lashes. As a kid, the little prince prefers hanging out with the palace guards instead of attending his lessons. He winds his private English teacher up so much that the instructor wants to discontinue the class, which consists of Mohammed and his siblings. His father lets him get away with far more than his 12 other children. Unsurprisingly, the favorite grows to become self-confident and cocky. By 19, Prince Mohammed is accompanying his dad everywhere. He takes notes like a personal assistant and whispers ideas into his father's ear. He learns about how the kingdom is run and how to behave with foreign politicians, princes, and international business people. What he doesn't learn is the art of compromise and the kind of diplomacy and poise that princes are usually trained in when they attend Ivy League or elite British schools. Mohammed has never lived outside Saudi Arabia. The prince grasps things quickly, but has a reputation for being overly emotional and having a volatile temper. During his college years, Mohammed, also known as MBS, prefers to stay close to his father, Crown Prince Salman, who is on course to succeed King Abdullah. MBS completes a BA in law at King Saud University in Riyadh. In January 2015, his father, Salman bin Abd al-Aziz bin Saud, becomes king at age 79. He appoints his favorite son defense minister. At 29, Prince Mohammed is the youngest defense minister in the world. New freedoms. Zero tolerance for dissent. It's rumored the king's health is becoming fragile and that signs of dementia are beginning to show. However, the royal court denies it. The king hands responsibility for day-to-day government affairs to his son. Young Prince Mohammed has now reached the locus of power. MBS is put in charge of the Vision 2030 transformation program, a father and son creation. It's the centerpiece of a package of reforms intended to move the Saudi economy beyond oil. It vigorously promotes the expansion of the private sector. Vision 2030 has already turned the kingdom on its head. Some say that Prince Mohammed is building the fourth Saudi kingdom. What is meant is that after two earlier Saudi kingdoms collapsed in the 18th and 19th centuries, this third one is currently being transformed into a fourth, and a totally different country at that. Here they call Mohammed Mr. Everything, half mockingly, half reverently. There's not a single area of life where the prince hasn't managed to have an impact. One day in 2016, the prince gathers the country's most influential media professionals for a meeting in Riyadh. He informs them of his plans and introduces them to Vision 2030. The young ruler explains that to kickstart the economy, social structures need to undergo a radical change. The current doctrine, a puritanical, ultra-conservative interpretation of Islam, must have less influence on daily life, and women shall play a more visible role. According to one attendee, the prince threatens the journalists. "I'm a bulldozer, and I will clear everyone who doesn't play along out of the way." Unrest in the House of Saud. Where exactly does this maverick strongman want to take his country? MBS grants new liberties but has zero tolerance for dissent. And why exactly is this economic and cultural tsunami occurring now? Shortly after joining the government, MBS takes a trip around the world. He visits China, Russia, and the United States, where he paints a brutally honest picture of his country before astonished audiences. Speaking to investors at the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco, he explains, "In 20 years, the importance of oil will be exactly zero. Renewable energy will take over. I have 20 years to change the course of my country and to lead it into the future." The perplexed investors immediately feel upbeat about the young Saudi pitching his country as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. MBS promises vast profits to those who invest in the metamorphosis of the kingdom now. A $500 billion future city on the Red Sea shore with solar parks, extensive infrastructure, top-notch educational institutes, enticing leisure spaces, a thriving entertainment industry, and exclusive vacation resorts. In short, Saudi Arabia put off preparing for the future for too long. But now a historic effort is being made to revolutionize the kingdom from the top down. New industries, new jobs, everything as fast as possible. 3 months after King Salman's coronation, something unusual happens. In April 2015, the monarch replaces the designated crown prince, the man in line to become the next king. He moves his nephew, the very successful Interior Minister Mohammed bin Nayef, into the position. But then, King Salman names his son, MBS, Deputy Crown Prince, making it abundantly clear that he wants to pave the way to the throne for his own progeny. The aggressive move triggers uneasiness in the royal family. Despite the constant internal competition, there has always been a consensus that the different branches of the family are to be fairly represented throughout the country's influential positions. Now, for the first time, it looks like all power could be consolidated in a single branch of the family if Mohammed becomes crown prince. This would effectively marginalize all other lines. Just 2 years later, in June 2017, King Salman indeed strips Crown Prince Mohammed bin Nayef of his position in a cunning overnight maneuver. His favorite son, MBS, is named the heir to the throne. Experienced observers say that Prince Mohammed and the king spent months working on the plan. Within a short time, MBS gains a frightening amount of influence. He is now Crown Prince.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?